Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the DropKick Podcast. Today we're joined by our first of many female wrestlers on the show. She's trained by Jay Lethal.
She's an ACW Women's Champion.
She's a PPW Diamonds Division Champion. Please help me welcome the spoiled brat, aka Aria Blake. How are you doing today, Aria?
I'm great. How are y'all?
We're just hanging out.
Yeah, we're good.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, so how has quarantine been for you? You know, everyone's got their ways of coping and everything. How's it been your way?
I've been keeping myself educated on it and trying to find out, we're reopening now. So these days it's kind of just figuring out what's opening, what our latest, if any, restrictions are. Florida's pretty wild. So we were one of the first places to open and one of the last places to close. So it wasn't as crazy here as compared to a place like New York or Washington, where it was really bad. But it's been okay. I've been really busy. I got a new car. I got a new apartment. So those were pretty big things that happened during quarantine. But the lack of wrestling has been super, super sad. I just got in a ring for the first time since February, this past Monday at training. So that was awesome. I'm glad that we're at the part of quarantine where like gyms and fitness places can be open, so wrestling schools can be open. So, I mean, it could be worse.
Yeah, for sure. Speaking of your nickname, who came up with that nickname? It's pretty different.
I don't know. It was something that I think I came up with myself. It's something that I am familiar with being called in real life, and just also how I guess I act and portray myself in the ring. And it just fit really well. And for a while, I was tag partners with Selena De La Renta, and we were the Spoiled Brats together. She had to stop wrestling due to injury, but I just kept the moniker going.
For sure, yeah.
Yeah, that's a really cool nickname. What got you interested in pursuing professional wrestling as a career?
As soon as I saw it, I knew that's what I want to do. It was I fell in love at first sight. The story of how I got into wrestling is I was 14. It was late 2008, and my younger brother was watching SmackDown, and I happened to be in his room, and it naturally caught my eye, and I saw a Divas match, and I was like, wow, these women can do it, and they're blonde like me. That's awesome. So that caught my eye, and then Jeff Hardy was on SmackDown at the time, and he's always been my favorite wrestler, so I was just super into it, and it became my life. And he eventually, my brother stopped watching it, and I just never, ever stopped, clearly. So I had always planned to go to wrestling school, and I lived in Clearwater, which is just across the bridge from Tampa, where they used to have FCW. And they used to do beginner classes. So I was like, when I turn 18, that's what I'll do. But when I turned 18 was around the time when they were moving to NXT. So there went that. So I just went to college and would wait around to kind of see what opportunities came up. And then found a wrestling school when I was 19, and off from there.
Yeah, everyone's got their stories, but you mentioned Jeff Hardy. Is it a dream to work with him one day?
Oh my God, it would be incredible to meet him. There was actually a time when we were on the same show. It was the night of the WrestleMania that they returned. That day,
wow.
That Sunday was a WWN show. We had SIP and ACW, and they did this thing called, I think it was the Broken Barbecue or something, and they had Matt and Jeff do a meet and greet with fans, and I saw them at one point in the ring addressing the crowd, and I was they're real. They exist. Yeah, they're actual people. That's crazy. But it was from such a distance, and I couldn't just contain myself. I was like, I need to focus on what I need to do right now. But yeah, it would be so cool to meet him and work with him.
Yeah. You said that you trained at 19. Was that correct?
Yeah, that's when I started.
Yeah. How's it training with Jay Lethal?
It was incredible. I highly recommend him as a trainer, especially if you're in the Tampa Bay area. It's definitely the best school we have here. I learned so much from him in terms of the simple things to bigger moves. He is good about treating everybody as an equal. So like I trained with the guys as well as the very few girls that we had coming up, but mostly with the dudes. He's really good at teaching and helping everybody learn exactly what they want to learn. Like I remember I used to always be like, I want to learn this high flying move or this lucha move, and he would do that for me because I'm smaller. I'm obviously not going to be in there throwing people around like the dudes are. So I got the best training I think I could.
Yeah, for sure. Jay Lethal is one of the best to ever do it, in my opinion. So we're aware that one of the bigger angles you were in MLW was with Joey Janela and MJF. So did you guys? I'm just wondering, did you guys take inspiration possibly from past angles like Edge, Lita, and Matt Hardy? Did you come up with it like from scratch, or like what did you personally think of that angle?
It was the most fun that I've had, especially that night where I hit Joey with the bottle. It's so memorable because I just remember that whole crowd was like, holy, like at that moment, like, oh my God. But, it was super fun. It wasn't something that we came up with. No, it was, the higher ups came up with it naturally and we just played it out. But it was so fun, and some of my favorite moments were doing segments like by the pool with Joey or in the hotel with MJF and stuff like that. So they're very memorable. Definitely a career highlight for me.
For sure, yeah. Speaking of highlights, everyone's got their highlights from a particular era from WWE. What was your favorite era of WWE?
That's so hard to say. I really like the era we're in now, I guess. Like, obviously past eras have been fun too, but I really like this current era. I think that we're getting so much new stuff, like new people that, you know, previously we didn't think we would see in those kind of companies get their shots. New concepts for like pay-per-views and like cinematic matches are like really entertaining, and like they're like big custom matches. They're super cool and something that I didn't think I'd really be into, but like they're fascinating. So I think we're in such a cool era, and like there's a lot of different wrestling available, not just the WWE, but currently like there's New Japan, Ring of Honor, Impact, MLW, like we mentioned, the independents. Like there's so much to watch that you can easily get your fix of whatever.
For sure. Everyone's got their favorite women's wrestler. Who was your, idol growing up in terms of the women?
When I first started watching wrestling amongst the divas, my favorite was, I guess I'd probably say Beth Phoenix, because you could tell she was like a real wrestler. She wasn't like stereotypical diva. But I did enjoy Maurice and Michelle McCool because they were in the first match I ever saw, and that just naturally captivated me. But if I had to say, like, of all time, Lita is definitely my favorite.
For sure.
Yeah, Lita is she's amazing. So we're speaking of the women of the past. Women currently, you've worked with some women who are in like WWE, NXT, AEW, for example. An example could be Shotzi Blackheart. Who would you say you want to work with the most in the future out of everyone wrestling right now?
I've always wanted a match with Allysin Kay because I think that she is one of like the best leaders that we have in women's wrestling right now.
For sure.
She like in the locker room is an incredible locker room leader. She knows what she's doing. She's really good, and like I've wrestled her in customs, but never in a real match. And it's like she's always been at like my top of people I've never wrestled, but really want to.
For sure, yeah. Everyone's got their, typical dream match, but with so much talent in the world right now that you just mentioned, is that your dream match, or is there like another scenario for your dream match?
Ooh, dream match. I think of all time, I might go back to Beth Phoenix.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Go back to that whole, like, you know, she was my favorite when I first started watching, and her versus Melina at the Royal Rumble that following year was one of my favorite matches, and something that she worked really well with was Melina's flexibility. And I'm super flexible, so I think that could be fun to play with. And she has experience like no other. Like, she did like high school wrestling. Like, she is so good, and I respect her a lot. So I think that would probably be my dream match.
Pretty good, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Like as we went over earlier, there's just so many places in wrestling to sign right now. You have so many major promotions. You have New Japan, AEW, WWE, ROH, TNA. What would you say is the place you would like to sign with the most?
Selfishly, I would love to work at Impact because my boyfriend works there, so I get to see him more. But I don't know. It's literally anybody that wants to give me a job, just email me, say, hey, because for the first time in 2 years, I'm like not under a contract. So it's cool to be able to have all this opportunity out there.
Sure. Yeah. Speaking of things, there's so much hate nowadays on, social media and the toxicity, that goes around. How do you deal with that hate particularly?
I don't look at it. I have like every filter on that blocks it all, like the quality filter, certain words muted. So like I've literally gone through Twitter and like typed in cuss words that like I don't want to hear people say at me. So if you're tweeting it, you're just tweeting it into the abyss, really. I'm not looking at it. The only like replies I get are from people that I follow back anyways, and I only follow like 70 people. So that's good on Twitter, at least, because Twitter's a nightmare. Like, it's a dumpster fire. We should not use it, but we wrestlers kind of have to, because if a promoter wants to hit us up for bookings, or if a fan wants to purchase something, maybe it's the easiest way. I'm personally on Instagram a lot more, so if you're trying to get in contact with me after email, that's kind of your best bet. But Instagram doesn't seem as hateful. Get a lot of love on there. I've never had problems with like my Facebook or Patreon or anything. But yeah, it's literally just Twitter is a horrible place.
Yeah, it's
just it's kind of like there's no reason to look at the comments on there, because it's like I've learned from seeing what others deal with is don't tweet anything pretty much. Because that's the only way to keep yourself from getting shit. Like, if I retweet something, it's because I really feel it, or it's a event I'm on or something like that. So I just, from seeing and such, I keep it as minimal as I can.
For sure.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's a great idea, like blocking out certain words and stuff, because for a lot of people, especially Twitter, it can be pretty detrimental to their mental health. And yeah. And another thing we really like to tap into on our show is mental health. So if you're comfortable sharing, of course, have you ever struggled with mental health? And if you have anything to say to anybody who may currently be struggling with it, what would you have to say?
I do struggle with it. A couple of years ago, I was diagnosed bipolar type 2. So that's something that I have to deal with and take medicine for every single day, because, my brain just doesn't work the same way as everybody else's. And that's fine. And I think that a huge part of that is not letting anything like an illness define you. It's just a special characteristic when you really think about it. It's not your entire being. Like, my entire life isn't filled up as, I'm bipolar, so this or that. It's something that I do follow doctor's orders to deal with, because I'm going to trust the people that know what they're doing, that have studied all of this. And I think a big part for some people with bipolar disorder specifically is they will avoid that. They'll get into a manic phase where they're like, I don't need anything. I'm feeling happy and fine. But then the unfortunate side of the illness is you get the reverse effect. It can go downhill sometimes pretty fast. So I think a big part of that is trusting yourself, but also allowing yourself to get help and use your resources, therapy, medication, reaching out to your friends, family, loved ones, whatever helps you. But yeah, it is something I definitely struggle with, as well as depression and anxiety, because those kind of come along with bipolar disorder. But yeah, it's daunting. It affects so many more people than I think we realize. And by being more open about it, I think that it makes it more comfortable to have conversations and help others get the help that they need.
For sure. Yeah. I think personally, you should be open-minded towards things, because I think everyone's fighting a different fight. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, for example, like if someone came at you on like, Instagram, you know what I mean? Like you may be going through something and then they don't know that. So I think people should, kind of, take a step back and be like, hey, maybe it's not the smartest decision. You know what I mean? So I think.
Yeah, definitely. Especially since it can go either way. I could see it and get sad, or I could pop off and send them something equally equal. Like it with me, it could go either way. But it's like you also want to take in consideration this person's clearly not well themselves, because if they were doing well, they wouldn't be having these thoughts or sending intrusive messages or anything like that. So hate never comes from a comfortable, okay place. It always comes from hate itself. So it sucks, but it is something to take into consideration, that this person bullying me or, talking their shit is unwell themselves. And as much as I want to pop off and be like, go jump off a bridge or something, I have to, be a little bit more respectful in just it goes back to my original point, just ignore, block, delete, all that.
Yeah. Speaking of that, I personally wanted to talk about this issue. You usually know Hannah Kimura just passed away like a month ago, right?
Yeah.
On that same note, I think people like that experience alone, I feel like it opened up a lot of eyes. Like, I feel like there's so many like precautions now. You know what I mean? Like, if someone says something, they're gonna get heat for it. You know what I mean? Because everybody's gonna be like, "Hey, like, relax and everything." But I think now it's kind of better, but it's never gonna be fixed. And it's just like one of those things where it's like you gotta be smart about it. Like, if you don't know them personally, why would you take it personal? You know what I mean? So yeah, I think right now, hopefully it'll get better, but we don't know for sure. But for the fans that haven't discovered you yet, what do you have in store?
Well, still quarantined, so I'm not actively wrestling at the moment. Still waiting on shows to come back to Florida and Georgia and the Southeast, where I generally perform. But like I said, have my Twitter. I won't respond to you, nor will I see anything you send me. But if you want to follow me, it's twitter.com/I'm Aria Blake. Instagram, I post a lot of photo shoots because that's something that I've been able to do while we've been in quarantine and keep content going. So that is the Aria Blake. It's all one word. As well as I post photo shoots to my Patreon, patreon.com/the Aria Blake. But besides that, I don't really have much going on. I've been trying to stay busy and not stay bored, working out, creating some art, painting, and general derps, and
for sure,
everything to be lifted.
Yeah, absolutely. So everybody go check out Aria's social media. Before we leave you off, to end off our interviews, we always like to name off some wrestlers that you have worked with, and you can use one. Yeah, and you can use one word or one sentence to describe them.
Awesome.
All right. So MJF.
Ridiculous.
Joey Janela.
Funny.
Shotzi Blackheart.
Talented.
Priscilla Kelly.
I also want to say talented. Beautiful.
Joey Ryan.
I keep wanting to say words I've already said. Innovator.
Amber Nova.
One of the only people that's around my size.
Chelsea Diamond.
Where are you? Girl, where have you been? You disappeared like 2 years ago. Nobody's seen you. What happened? I forgot she existed, dude.
Honestly. But yeah, we just want to thank you for joining us today and taking the time out of your day. Is there anything else you'd like to say to the people?
Thank you guys for listening, and thank you for having an interest in anything I have to say. And hopefully you can follow me on social media and not send me any BS messages.
For sure. Check her out, guys. Thank you for watching.